Good morning. Welcome to Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. I'm Chris Lee, joined by Lovell and Max Barr. This is SEC basketball power rankings heading into the third week of the SEC season. The standings are a mess. Power rankings were not easy to do. A few things were easy, but not much. Get us started, Blake Lovell. Where do we go from here?
It's power rankings, so we're going to start at 16, I think, is where we're going to go from here.
For something better than that.
I don't know what you wanted from me. We're doing power rankings. We're going to start at 16, but there are rumors in the chat, by the way, that Bucky McMillan's looking for a house in Knoxville, according to Sam Smith. So you heard it here first. Got to be truthful if it's coming from Sam Smith there. So, by the way, Brian, subject of my column that I'm writing this morning for the Basket Under Review, what will this week bring for Kentucky basketball? Well, find out my answer in the column here in just a bit. But all right.
Are we ready?
16.
January 12th. This is the week, week 10 now? Week 11 are we in? We're more than halfway through the season. We are getting there, folks. And at number 16.
Hold on. Before you reveal it, I need chat from 0 to 100. How invested are you in this set of power rankings this week?
Yes.
We need to know, what kind of energy are you bringing for this power rankings? If your team is one spot lower, do you start throwing out profanity? If your team is 3 spots lower, do you unsubscribe from the channel? What is the vibe this week for the power rankings? How important are these in terms of how you view basketball? Okay, well, we're not off to a good start here. Okay, well,
100 might not be high enough.
I did not realize that it was that high of a number. 9,000 for some people. Okay.
9,000.
All right.
Here we go. We only have one team in the league that does not have an SEC win yet, and they are banged up aplenty. And man, oh man, did I not think I was going to be pulling up a 16 LSU after the way that they started this year. But with 2 key injuries to their 2 best players, one of them out for the season, one out for an extended period of time that we do not have, them being Jalen Reed and Dean Thomas, LSU here down at 16, guys.
Well, we always say you factor in the whole season, but you also have to somehow allocate where a team's at now. And I think right this second, without Thomas, LSU is probably rightfully at 16. I just think that's probably the case. So, again, do I think LSU has a better chance to make the tournament than a couple teams that are going to be higher in our power rankings? Yes. But like we said, that's the difference. It's a power ranking. It's not a bracket ranking. It's not a resume ranking. It's just power rankings. And so right now, not surprised to see LSU here.
Yeah, I don't think Dean Thomas is the MVP of the league, but I don't think a lot of teams drop off much more than they do from Thomas to Jalen Reese. Max McKinnon was really good Saturday, by the way. Kept them in that game at Vanderbilt. But anyway, number 15, Blake.
I have no idea.
Because it is high. That does the reveal.
Max.
Excuse me.
I don't have a clue.
A little rusty. We got to shake the rust off.
Right.
At number 15, we have a team that could be on the move here. Could be on the move, getting out of the cellar. The Ole Miss Rebels picked up a win on Saturday at home. Their first SEC win of the season. They're now 1-2 in the league with a home win over Missouri, a home loss to Arkansas, and a road loss to start the league play back on January 3rd against Oklahoma. Ole Miss here potentially turning a corner.
I think the question I have, they've got the dudes. Malik Dia, AJ Storr off the bench gives them 26 points. And I'm looking this up as we speak on Bart Torvik. They've already banked 7 losses. I don't think they've got a quad 1 win. look, Ole Miss, if you started the season over, is talented enough to get to the tournament. I think the question I have, guys, is how much damage, and I know it was a lot, but do they have enough to overcome the hole they've put themselves in to get themselves into the NCAA tournament picture?
Blake, anything on the Rebs? Oh, I think Blake might be frozen. I think Blake's frozen.
We got frozen Blake. Wow.
Oh, Blake does not want to talk about the Rebels at 15. But
yeah,
the one real quick thing I wanted to say is 2-point percentage defense in conference play right now for Ole Miss. They're allowing teams to shoot 61.5% from inside the arc. That is devastating. That's about bottom 20 in the nation over the last few games. So Ole Miss interior defense has got to get better, as they will be playing at Georgia and at Mississippi State this next week, a double back-to-back road game week for Ole Miss coming off of the win. Moving on up to number 14. 14, now this is a team that up and down. Can't seem to get a read on this team, and that is the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma starts SEC play on January 3rd with a 16-point win over Ole Miss, but then loses by 19 at Mississippi State, loses by 7 on Saturday at Texas A&M. It was a back-to-back road game week for the Sooners, and they come out of that one 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some guys. Nigel Pack has played a ton of ball and done some huge things, and they've got some pieces, but they just kind of like Ole Miss haven't banked a lot so far. Actually, they've banked more than Ole Miss since they've got a head-to-head win against Ole Miss by 16 points in the opener. But other than that, at Wake, I mean, this feels like a team that's going to be uphill battle to get to the tourney.
It is. They are on the outside looking in right now after, and like I've been saying all year, guys, about that 45th range is right around the kind of the chop-off mark for the bubble. If you're top 45 in the analytics, probably good bet you're in. If you're outside the top 45, well, you maybe got to be one of those lucky one or two teams that has a few elite wins, but the analytics don't like you. That sneaks you in. Ole Miss now, or Oklahoma now, 54th in KenPom, and they're projected to lose both home games this week against Florida and Alabama. This has got to be, they got to go 1-1 here. The Sooners got to nag one of these big home wins.
Yeah, not a great time to get the Gators.
Nope, not a good time to get the Gators. But hey, it would be a season defining week here, honestly, for Oklahoma. We could look back at this week of January 13th, the Tuesday game against Florida, and January 17th, Saturday game against Alabama. Back-to-back home games here after two kind of disappointing losses on the eye test there. Could be the season-defining week here for Oklahoma. Make or break there, depending on if they are able to steal one. All right. Now, this is a team that is as high as they have been in our power rankings maybe all year. Maybe all year. Don't quote me on that, but probably all year. It's a season high here at 13 for the South Carolina Gamecocks, as they come off of a week where they went to LSU and win by 10. Now, that scoreboard did get a little bit close in that second half, but if you watched that game, man, that was probably the most impressive eye test game of the year for South Carolina. At one point, held a 43-15 lead, and Elijah Strong has really looked good, starting to find his mid-range game. Can't stop Elijah Strong when he gets to his spot. And then on Saturday, the game at home against Georgia, hey, South Carolina is up by 8 with 8 minutes left in this game. Looked like they had every opportunity to grab a home win here against a really good Georgia team. Georgia ends up winning by 5 there down the stretch, but hey, no denying, South Carolina is playing really good.
Yeah, they've only got one loss that's double digits. That's to Vanderbilt. And I think the thing with them, I mean, Strong had a 30-point game, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week. I guess it was 2 games ago. Meechie Johnson, though, has just been so inconsistent for them. If they ever get him going with any consistency, they can beat just about anybody in their place. I don't know about on the road, but in their place, certainly, a lot of teams are gettable for them, I think. But they got to get that.
Yeah, Mike Sharabjams I think he's been their second best player. I think it's been Elijah Strong and Sharabjams that have really been their top two. Shrabdram can kind of play all 5 positions, and they've been using him a little bit more down around the basket defensively with his rebounding and whatnot. So I think they found something. I do. I don't know how much higher the ceiling gets for South Carolina, but the way that they've been playing the last few games, with Miles Studi finally healthy now, he missed 3 or 4 games. I think it was 3 games there in late November. Studi's finally in his groove. So, hey, South Carolina is not an easy team to play. Even if it's Vanderbilt, a team that's going to be probably unanimous here. Even when they go to play at South Carolina in Columbia, you're going to be hearing Mark Byington saying, no, not a single game off in this league. This is going to be a tough game, physical game that we got to go play. So South Carolina, they've been pretty dang impressive over the past 2 weeks. All right, moving.
Hey,
he's back.
I'm back, and I want to address some of the things in the comments right now. All right? So, I don't know who was 15, 14, 13. Well, South Carolina's 13. I can read on the screen. Chris asked if I played hide and seek. Sam's saying the heater took me out. Brian's asked if I was arrested. Come on, folks. Not gonna lie. When the power goes out in the garage, it's a very scary thing. All of a sudden, I'm like, I was like, this is it. Like, everything just went out in the garage. It just gets dark. Like, there's no windows. Like, so apologies. Who was 50? Who was 14? I don't even know. Give me a quick rundown.
So far, we've gone 16 LSU, 15 Ole Miss,
All right.
14 Oklahoma, 13 South Carolina.
All right. Let's continue.
And after 13, South Carolina, we've got a team that had maybe one of the most impressive wins of the Saturday. The Longhorns went to Alabama and grabbed a 92-88 road win after they had started SEC play pretty rough, to be honest, dude. The Tuesday game at Tennessee was a 14-point loss, and the game before that, Saturday the 3rd, the opener, was a home overtime loss to Mississippi State. So the Longhorns, in that desperation spot, needed one, got one there with a bit of a up and down start here. 3 games in the conference play, guys.
Biggest wild card in the league.
On his Longhorns. I'll let Chris have the floor here.
I think they're the biggest wild card in the league. Defense is killing them. It also hurts that they played 2 of their 3 games at home so far. They got some tough road trips, but could you guys not see this going a ton of ways where they either, they go 6-12 in the league, or they go, I don't know, 11-7 and make the tournament?
Chris, now you were talking up the Longhorns on Saturday. Like, we had just completely
they won at Alabama
contender or something.
Well, wait a minute. Hang on. The last time I asked you guys about Texas, I said, do you not think there's parts here for them to do something? And you guys blew it off
to do what?
As if we were talking about Mississippi Valley State.
To do something? What does something mean? I
don't know. Get to the tournament, play better than they played, beat Alabama.
Did you think they were going to beat Alabama?
No, I was asking an honest question because I look at their roster and there's talent. They've got a coach who's won 22 NCAA tournament games. There's pieces for stuff to work if it comes together. And guess what? It came together on Saturday night.
Say that about every SEC team.
Well, but they've got a little more than some of these below them. Let's be honest.
I've missed this, folks. Come on. You have in the chat. Come on. I just have to set a baseline on which teams I can get Chris riled up on. It's the Longhorns this year. No, it was an impressive win. I mean, we said that on Saturday. They're still 119th in defensive efficiency. So if I'm going to say that I believe in them as a true contender, I will say no right now. But they got a great opportunity this week. If you go win at Alabama, and then you turn around and beat Vanderbilt and Texas A&M at home, all of a sudden, maybe their FanDuel odds are minus 140 to win the league for the Longhorns. Chris will be throwing up hook 'em on every live stream we do the rest of the way.
The thing with Texas is you can say look at their roster and they're talented, but if you've looked at them play, it's been absolutely brutal sometimes. And going into that Alabama game, they only had 1 win worth of anything. And that was a real fluky game where they shot 16 of 32 from 3, Kendall Weaver made 3 threes. Sim Wilcher made 3 threes. Jordan Pope made 7 threes, and they only won by 5. That was the only thing they did the whole entire season. So it was like easy to say, is there something with Texas after they have their best win of the year after they've done nothing for 2 months? But I mean, they still have less than a 30% chance to make the tournament. We'll see. But I mean, come on. Texas had done absolutely nothing going into that game.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, hey, we did. I feel like early in the year when we made some predictions, I don't remember what game it was, but I said, if Jordan Pope has like a Jordan Pope game, if he has one of those just completely go off type games, they're going to beat whoever they played. And I mean, they did that against Alabama. Like he went off. So hit 6 threes, 28 points. So more of those. I think he did it. Was that against NC State? Is that the game, Max? So yeah. That's it. So
Big Gatorade Day. My friend who visited me from Texas said that the tacos are better in Texas than California. I sent him to the emergency room.
Oh my! Wow. There you go. That's what you're getting from the legend, Big Gatorade J.
Yeah,
right there. So yeah. Anyways,
Big Gatorade J
all right.
There.
Texas,
number 11, a team that went to the Moody Center to open up SEC play and grabbed an overtime victory was the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And after that, they had a Wednesday game at home against Oklahoma and looked fantastic. Maybe the best game of the year that the Bulldogs have played, holding that kind of fiery Oklahoma offense to just 53 points, win by 19 at home in the midweek, but then to turn around and be in that game for a good 20 minutes. I think it was a 5-point game at halftime at Rupp Arena as a 10.5-point underdog. But then the second half, the wheels fell off for the Bulldogs, and their 6-game win streak was snapped on Saturday.
Yeah, like we can't have a double standard for Mississippi State here, where all of a sudden they go like lay an egg at Kentucky, and yet they have just won 6 in a row, and everybody else has kind of laid an egg too this season, minus Vanderbilt. Like everyone else has laid an egg this year. So it's like we can't just completely throw them back down the standings, I don't think, because they go and lose. Again, a team like Kentucky who had to have the win, which, as we said, has been the theme this year in the SEC. It seems like every team that has to step up has stepped up. And so, I mean, it's one game. So I'm not saying I think Mississippi State is going to, win 12 league games or anything. But would I be surprised if they were to go 2-0 this week against Alabama and Ole Miss at home? No, I wouldn't. Because I just think the way they've been playing up until a stretch where Kentucky just looked like they finally had figured it out in the second half, they've been really good. So yeah, I don't think it's worth just all of a sudden overreacting for Mississippi State here with just one game to drop them all of a sudden way back down the standings or way back down the power rankings. That is.
Yeah, I agree, and it was really just one half. That was a really entertaining first half, and then it was that second half there where Kentucky got the defense, started turning the defense into offense there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mississippi State. Hey, this was a Mississippi State team that I think was as low as 15, maybe even 16 at one point in our power rankings. So not a bad spot to be here for the Bulldogs.
They moved 10 spots in KenPom since conference play, even with getting blown out at Kentucky.
Yeah.
And they also beat Texas.
Yeah.
At Texas.
Thank you for
I just want to make sure I brought that up. No.
They were Hubbarded.
They were Hubbarded.
It happens.
It does happen.
All right, into the top 10. Into the top 10 here. We have Missouri, the Tigers here at number 10. They had a fiery hot start to conference play. A home win against the Gators, and then a road win in Rupp Arena by 5 points. And that was a game that was in the balance there at the end. That was for anyone's taken there in the last 5 minutes. Turns out Missouri locks down on defense and grabs the win in Rupp Arena on Wednesday. But back-to-back road games, it's going to be tough to say, wow, this team just came off of a back-to-back road game week and won both of them. That's going to be tough to do in this league this year. And Missouri runs into a desperate Rebels squad who needed a win and Missouri maybe a little bit of a disappointment. But the Vegas odds on that game, I believe Ole Miss opened up the favorite. We knew that spot. I picked Ole Miss to win that game. I'm not knocking Missouri too much for going 1-1 this past week, guys.
I mean, despite us having like our fun and stuff with Texas, if you notice so far, and this is going to be the theme for the entire power rankings this week, I don't know how I push back on anything, right? Because look at the mess that we have here, right? It's like, what do you value with Missouri? They just beat Florida, who is going to be up there this week, probably. I don't have the rankings, but I'm assuming Florida's probably pretty high. They win at Kentucky, and we haven't seen the Cats yet in our rankings. And yet, like, you have to penalize them a little bit with the loss at Ole Miss, who is, 15th? So it's like, look, everybody, again, you can argue, and I know, like, I'm seeing some of the chat, and this was what I was curious about, like Kentucky over Missouri. I think in my individual rankings, I had it flipped. But, like, how can I sit here and argue too much when, again, it's like the overall picture of, well, are you all of a sudden back off Missouri a little bit because they lost at Ole Miss by 7, who, again, kind of had to have it. Or, it's just all those different things. So I think, like, it's just, and Missouri's resume still got a lot of work to do. And I think that's it, Max. Like, yes, getting those 2 wins was crucial against Florida and Kentucky, but if you also look at it, Ole Miss is the lowest ranked team in the net in the SEC at 98, and so you just lost that one on the road. So it's, who knows? All right, by the way, I got to reset some of this whole electrical stuff here, so I'm coming right back.
I got a word on Missouri, and I'm gonna throw this to you, Max. I watched them a couple times last week and saw a lot of stuff I like. They're old. We like Dennis Gates. They got a lot of depth. They're getting healthier. And I'm thinking, okay, this is just about the time they're about to spring one on people after that disaster against Illinois. They can't shoot free throws. They were 12 of 24 on Saturday. You take care of business, you probably get one on the win. And you go back and look, they haven't broken 80 against a Power 5 team yet. So what is going on here? It's like the shell game on the scoreboard. We're talking Missouri, and you missed all that.
I didn't. I've heard every word you said.
Okay. Well, then I'll let you respond.
Yeah.
They can't shoot free throws. Yeah. They're bad.
Okay. There we go.
They're a bad shooting team at the free throw line.
Yeah. Well, we can tie it in to this because number 9 is Kentucky right there. And there was barely anything separating these teams when I calculated the composite. And how many, if we just did a power ranking after the Wednesday games instead of the Saturday results always hold a little bit more weight than the midweek results just because of like the recency bias and whatnot, which when it really shouldn't because haven't done a power ranking since the last one. So you should weight them equally in my opinion. But I even fall victim to that. But the thing with Kentucky here is that was an impressive 92-68 win. And I think it was a little bit more impressive that I moved them up a little bit because Mississippi State, I mean, hey, I had Missouri spread against Kentucky. I had the plus 11. I said, I'll take that $15 and take it to my Jersey Mikes and give me a sub. I said I was going to do the same thing with Mississippi State. And that was dang impressive, I thought, without Jalen Lowe, without JQ, to bounce back that way. I know it was at home, but still, I just came away a little bit more impressed. And honestly, there's not too much separating these two teams in my mind. If Missouri played Kentucky tomorrow on a neutral floor, I would have no clue who to pick.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was talking about what Brian put up earlier. He's like, what do we expect from Kentucky basketball this week? So what I'm writing in the column is like, my read on Kentucky is that I have no read on Kentucky. Even though they're coming off of this win, let's ride the high right now of, yes, it was a very impressive performance. They look more like a Mark Pope coach team offensively. Thought that was the biggest takeaway. And he mentioned it after the game, talking about the spacing and all these different, kind of added elements maybe that they haven't had consistently this year at all. And so that to me was like the biggest thing. And so I can be optimistic, but I also, again, can kind of understand that I don't think this is just going to completely reset their entire season, but like it's been such an up and down year that I think you just gotta ride the highs when they're there, and Kentucky fans should be riding the highs coming off of that game because, like I said, it wasn't just that they won; it's how they won, and I think that is going to be something where if they can now keep this thing going, which again, scheduling wise, you should beat LSU on the road. Tennessee will be tough, but like, hey. If you're at least going 1-1 this week, and again, the one's probably coming at LSU, then you're still in a pretty good spot, I think, just based on the fact that you found a way to beat Mississippi State. And now, again, it's just kind of resetting expectations a little bit. We're not talking about the Kentucky team that we were talking about in September. Like, we have reset our expectations, so if we can just stay there for a second and not all of a sudden think they're about to win the SEC, because I think that's a hard ask for this team right now, then I think everything's okay. So
here's what I say. I mean, I'm looking at this and going, okay, what can I take from Kentucky that might be different than what we've seen? And Blake's guy, Cam Williams, was great, gave them a defensive lift, helped turn some defense into offense, got some easy buckets at the rim, which they need. Malachi Moreno had a stat sheet stuffing game. And one thing about him, like, he is the bigs that don't get into foul trouble are rare. Freshman bigs who don't get into foul trouble are really rare. Williams and Moreno played more minutes, I think, combined than they had all year. So, the defensive efficiency has kind of gone up. We circled that, I think, after the Gonzaga game, and we're just grasping for straws. How do they get better? And I think we said, hey, look, clean your defense up, and maybe some good stuff will start to happen. I do wonder if Kentucky found a little bit of a recipe on Saturday night.
I mean, it did on Saturday night.
Right.
It's like we've been burned by this team before. And I just am like, I hesitate to just be like, we'll be positive here. We'll lean on the positive. Yes, I'm not going to be negative. But it's also understandable why there may be some Kentucky fans who aren't convinced yet. And that's fine. I think and this is one of the lines I have in my column. Kentucky is going to be the ultimate coach speak team the rest of the way. One game at a time. Like, they are the coach speak team. Like, just use the coach speak. You have to take it one game at a time with them, because I think anything else, you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment potentially, because consistently it's not been there, but man, they look good on Saturday. I think that's perfectly fine to say and accurate.
I think the analytics are finally settling in on Kentucky. Right now, 26th in KenPom. What do teams that are fringe top 25 teams do? They'll win a few big games. They'll lose a few bad ones. I kind of think we're going to be floating Kentucky right around between 20 and 30 in the analytics pretty much all year. They'll grab a big win, jump up towards 20, lose a bad one like 15 points at Alabama, drop back a few spots. I think it's kind of settled in here. Could be wrong, but that's kind of the feeling I'm getting.
All right. Before we get to the top half, let's get quickly shout out to some of our fine friends out there.
Oh, yes.
And everyone in the chat has just been mystified by the shirt that Chris Lee is wearing right now. When all of you should have looked at this shirt and quickly identified that, you know what? I've seen that shirt somewhere. And I've seen that shirt in my dreams, because I dream every day about the fine folks at And Collar, andcollar.com. Performance menswear brand that makes polos. Guess what the next one is? Button-ups. You didn't know that, huh? Quarter zips. We got Chris Lee a quarter zip. Pants. We can't confirm if there are any pants that go with it.
I have pants.
You name it. Stretchy, affordable, and make you look good. If you think all three of those apply to Chris Lee, is he stretchy? Is he affordable? And do they make the shirt look good? Then you've now described And Collar. The work leisure. Chris is here. He's working, but he's leisurely. He's leisurely working. All right? So,
buddy, let me tell you, this shirt, it came last night. I got a bunch of shirts. I got pants. these things are like off the charts comfortable.
Okay.
Have you guys gotten your stuff yet?
No.
Oh, buddy, let me tell you.
Let me ask you this. Does it feel lightweight?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea.
Is there stain resistance? I think you should take your.
I haven't found out yet.
It's
only a matter
now.
of time, but that's what they say. I'm going to take their word.
Go get some coffee. Just pour it right on you right now.
Thanks a lot.
Make it hot. Looks wrinkle resistant. I don't see any wrinkles. Looks like it could be thrown in a machine and washed.
It could. I bet you it could.
Price tag on that thing, I'm going to assume listen, if I'm walking up somewhere and I don't know, I'm like, hey, I'm going to guess that shirt costs, I don't know, maybe $1,200. I mean, that's how good it looks.
It was not $1,200. It was way less.
Not at all. Because it's all about affordable price for the everyday guy. And if there's anyone I can describe as the everyday guy, it's Grizzly. So head over to AnnCollar, SEC16 for 16% off over at AnnCollar. Let me find the link to put that in the chat. My goodness. This may be the new Sanders right here. I'm not going to lie to you. There's only one Sanders, but I'm going to put the link in here. Head over to AnnCollar, SEC16 for 16% off. All right. And don't forget about our friends at the Yearly Company, SE16 kit. 100% off the sizing kit over there. And ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com. The world's strongest magnetic phone case, extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock, secure mounting. SEC25 for 25% off over at ROKFORM.
Well, you know what I did this morning on my commute to take my son?
I really don't. But
he wanted my phone, which was on the dash mount, which is the little magnetic clip on the vent. Buddy, I almost need two hands to pull that thing off. It's so strong.
Well,
it's amazing. It's almost as amazing as this shirt. Maybe right there with it.
I think they're equally amazing because they are both sponsors, and we don't want to play favorites here. So, equally amazing.
Yes.
We rank them number one. It'd be a tie for one at the top of the rankings. All right. Here we go. Back to the show.
All right. Coming in at number 8. I was just a year early, guys. I was just a year early. All right. It wasn't last year. It was, I'm just a year early on the Aggies. Okay. I knew what I was doing last year. Texas A&M comes in at number 8, riding a 6-game win streak, 3-0 in the league. They've played 2 home games, one to open the season, 3-point win against LSU. Then the thriller in Neville Arena, 90-88. And then on Saturday, a 7-point win against Oklahoma. Buckyball continues to get it done, 3-0.
Yeah, I think I just enjoy watching Texas A&M play basketball.
Yeah.
And, it's been a while since I've been able to say that. So, yeah, I think A&M rightfully has moved up quite a bit. You don't agree with that, do you, Max? It's just, we all have our different styles that we appreciate, And there are certain styles that are a very acquired taste. And let's just say that the one Bucky has on display in College Station, a little more my style. Yeah. I mean, again, they've been one of the hottest teams out there.
Yep.
And if you think about it, really since November 14th, that's where they came off the back-to-back losses. They lost by 12 at home to UCF, which again, these days, I mean, folks, UCF, they're 13-2, but despite just kind of having an overtime loss to SMU, like an overtime game, you lose by 13. However many times you want to play that 100 times, they're probably not losing by 13 in overtime. Just kind of one of those, man. They just won games. So keep finding a way to win. And this week is a great test for A&M at Tennessee and at Texas. So, yeah.
Yeah, that stretch against Auburn where they were just picking pockets and getting points left and right was like watching Loyola Marymount back in the 90s for a stretch there.
This comment, Bronny. Bronny always gets me with the A&M comments. Like, they're the best. Max,
Speak for yourself.
Listen. I don't think it's that wrong, but
This is hilarious.
Some people enjoy watching that stuff.
I'll tell you who doesn't enjoy watching this. Maryland fans this year. But anyways, let's continue on. So
I don't know if you guys can hear the beeping that's going on behind me, but it sounds like they are constructing I don't know what's going on. There is so much noise outside of
that's a team
right
that's
now.
going to work right there.
They're
There's a
repairing the
team right there
backboards that
that's-
last year's A&M team broke.
Can
Can you
to
guys
work.
hear it? You
Three-point
hear all the
shooting.
beeping?
Oh yeah.
It's not
This
that
is
loud.
gee.
Don't let anybody. It's not that loud, Max. No one. It's not really loud. It's fine.
Well, it's got me rattled, like I'm the Hogs playing at Auburn
I
right
thought
now.
Arkansas was going to be 7. I was like, oh no, what are we doing? I was
It's
like,
got
I'm out of
me
here.
rattled.
Electricity's back off. Oh my goodness.
As the Tigers come in at number 7. Now, I'll be honest. I had Auburn a few spots higher than 7.
Oh,
Quite a
really?
few, actually. I had Auburn at 4 this
Wow.
week.
Wow.
How did we justify that?
They just beat Arkansas by 22. Destroyed them. And we're right there at Georgia. Really good game. And the A&M loss, it's bad, but I mean, they were killing A&M all game. Bad loss, but still,
Bad losses.
I'm not knocking Auburn too much, but hey, it's week 11 now. I'm not putting too much weight into results in November anymore. And they just absolutely blew the doors off of the team that the entire chat was berating you guys to be number 1 overall in the power rankings. And they just absolutely destroyed them. I think they found something here. When you filter Torvik for just like SEC play, Auburn's 3rd in the conference efficiency wise. They have one of the best offenses in the nation, and I'm buying it. Maybe I'm a little high on them, putting them 4th this week, but I was incredibly impressed by a 22-point destruction of Arkansas on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like before the game, I'd said like Auburn is legitimately like it's 2 just kind of wild plays away from being 2-0. If they beat Arkansas, they're 3-0, and yeah, like I think it's a pretty, they're probably up there at, I don't know, but like yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of again, what are you valuing, and probably still adding in some of the stuff then. But like we said, it's kind of a matter of why is LSU at 16. It's not because LSU was the worst team in the SEC through non-conference play. It's because they're without their best player and they don't look good right now. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to push back on this. Like, if you want to kind of say, hey, look at Auburn, look how close they've been in these games. And like we said, I mean, that's the margin for error, right? It's, hey, if they win one of those games, right? I mean, let's say they beat Georgia or beat Texas A&M. I do think you would have that's probably where, again, maybe that's like, some people say, well, that's overreacting, but maybe I'm not reacting enough in terms of like where I rank them based on just this one game against Arkansas. So we said it all year, Max, like offensively, top 10 offensive team in the country, man. Like, yeah. And again, it's like we talk about like the value of offensive rebounding in the SEC. They're a top 10 at that. And yeah, I mean, everybody was kind of railing on me, I feel like, for the defensive comment, but like, I mean, it's still not, the numbers aren't great, but if you play like you did against Arkansas and you come out with that kind of, sort of mindset on defense the way they did in that game, then they're going to win a lot of games. And I remember what I brought up before we went to SEC play. I was kind of saying, hey, Auburn could be 6-0 in SEC play when you look at their schedule. And so they're 1-2 right now. But like their next 3 games, at Missouri, home against South Carolina, at Ole Miss. So like don't be surprised if they're able to use what they did on Saturday and turn this into something pretty substantial. And remember, don't forget, here's what I want to say about this. With Auburn, their non-conference was so strong that like Auburn doesn't have to be 13-5 in the SEC to get a pretty good seed in the NCAA tournament, because they played a strong non-conference. I know they lost the way they did to a couple of those top teams, but still, that strength of schedule is really going to help them. And you could say it's helped them so far in SEC play just based on how the way these 3 games have turned out, even though they lost a couple of them. So,
yeah, I think that the 2 things holding them back, they've lost 3 games by more than 25. Now, that may be to 3 of the top 5 teams in the country, maybe. So there's that. But they also have not won a road game yet either. Not that they played a lot, but just need to see more consistency, I think, here. I mean, Auburn can get there, but
I mean, here's the thing, though. We're going to get to the next teams. Like,
There's
I
no
know now.
consistency.
That's the thing. Is like now we're getting into this group where you really could, and like I did. I initially was like, wait a second, Max had Auburn at 4, but you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I mean, look at these next 3 teams we're going to talk about. Are you kidding me? In terms of consistency, like I don't know what to expect from these teams. So, yeah, I mean, it's who knows?
7 all the way to 3, honestly. And these rankings,
Yeah.
7, 6, 5, 4, and 3 are you could shuffle them any way you want. Give me any argument for any order, and I'd be like, okay, I see. Yeah, can't push back. This is a jumbled mess right here.
I don't know where these. I'm curious. I don't know where these round up.
Okay.
Like I have no idea what order this is. So,
Well, they did not. The one team that Auburn did not get a win against was Georgia. Georgia was able to pull that game out in overtime and should have won in regulation. That was an incredible, play there by Hall, missing the free throw to Overton there. That was crazy. Georgia should have won in regulation there. Then they go to Florida and lose pretty handily, 92-77. But then, hey, like we've said, South Carolina is going to be a tough game no matter who is playing there. It was for Georgia, and they found a way to get it done. The offense wasn't clicking. The pace wasn't there. It was the slowest game Georgia has played the entire season, and they still found a way to win. This was the only game not reaching the 70 possession threshold for Georgia all year. So they found a way to win a tough one, and I think Georgia is right where they should be here in the top 6. Could argue them higher.
yeah, I think it was important for them to win like that after just as bad as they looked against Florida. In another kind of slow down, make it ugly kind of game. You lose Santos Cyril in that one, and I think you're just not going to have much chance against Florida. Carolina's a team that can kind of grind you and do. I mean, it's the talent's not as good, but they can do similar things to you different ways. And I mean that game just, I don't know how long that second half lasted, but it was an eternity.
Yeah,
well, it wasn't Vanderbilt, Alabama eternity, but.
It was getting
also,
close.
Well, it wasn't Alabama, Texas eternity either.
Well, that's also true.
So, but I know I've seen some people like push back on Georgia a little bit, not even in the chat. I mean, like on social media and everything. But it's like, I think some people are like, well, they only won at South Carolina by 5. Okay. I mean, Vanderbilt won at South Carolina by 12 or something, right? So it's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. South Carolina's got one double-digit loss, and that's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to knock Georgia for winning at South Carolina, especially after trailing. So, and you're not also probably not going to knock them very much for losing by 15 at Florida. So, now the way the Gators are playing right now. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, Max, I mean, quite literally, no doubt, 100%, the difference between Georgia and Auburn in this power ranking this week is simply what happened on January the 3rd. Like, that's probably it. And so, some people wound up ranking Georgia a little bit higher, and that's how it worked out. So, again, we're talking about a bunch of jumbled teams here in the middle, but overall for Georgia, I mean, still, you're talking about a team that has 2 losses on the year. They're 14-2, overtime loss to Clemson, and a 15-point loss at Florida. I mean, I would say most teams would be like, sign me up for that in the first 16 games of the season. So, yeah, I don't have a lot else to add. So,
and hey, that spread for Georgia against South Carolina, I'm pretty sure it was -4. It covered. It might be only by 1 point,
true.
but a cover is a cover. All right, and continuing this group in the middle here that is just impossible to separate from each other. This is probably the toughest team to rank in the entire league for me. No clue where to put this team right now. Absolutely no clue. The Vols of Tennessee here at 5. You could put them 8. You could put them 3. You could put them 6. You could put them anywhere here in the middle. They are 1-2 in conference play. Lost the 2 road games at Arkansas and at Florida. Tough places to play. and won the home game against Texas impressively, 85-71. Still no true road wins, 0-3 in true road games, taking care of business, 4 straight, or have not lost at home on the year. Tough team to rank, guys.
I mean, Sam's...
wasn't as much for me. I think I put them 5, and I might have debated them down a spot, but I mean, you just kind of know what you're getting now with them.
And they're
good. Well, I mean, okay, they're going to struggle on offense against some big teams, or good teams. I mean, that's been a constant for them. They're always going to play good defense. It's not as elite as it's been, but I mean, they're good enough defensively, and they've beaten enough good teams that I just couldn't justify moving them down much lower than where they are.
Yeah, I think Tennessee is it's a body of work team right now.
Yep.
That's kind of doing some of the lifting for them in this number 5 ranking. And we kept saying the Houston win, it's doing some work still, but I can't say that I think it's the same team that played Houston on November 25th. I just think there, again, seem to be a few more glaring issues, which, that, again, it's the road play. Like, it's how they're playing away from home, right? That's what it comes down to. They've lost their last 5 games away from home. And so, I mean, for a team like that, right? Lose at Florida, Arkansas, Illinois, Syracuse, Kansas. So, like, we can prop up the Houston win, and we can prop up the Louisville win, right? But the fact is, I mean, all those games still exist, and they're coming off one where, what was the spread on the Florida game, Max?
It was Florida -4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's my point is, a game that analytically looked like it should be kind of a grinded out type win for Florida. Florida wins 91-67. So, like I said, just kind of with Georgia, there's no shame in losing at Florida, but I think you can put a little bit more into just Tennessee's performances away from home because, too, it's like if you want to ride their defensive ability, yeah, they've just given up 91 and 86 on the road in their first 2 SEC games. So, they're hard to trust. And I say all that knowing that they probably are going to go – they have a good chance to go 2-0 this week against Texas A&M and Kentucky because they're going to be favored in both those games. And so, then what happens with Tennessee?
Yep.
So, I don't know.
I'll be honest, I had them a few spots lower. And just I know it's only been 3 games, so it's not, the end of the world, but in just 3 games, they're 15th in the SEC in offensive efficiency, 11th in defense. It has not been good.
Wow.
Just it hasn't. When you look at their defensive efficiency on the season, it's 13th. That's the worst Barnes defense since 2020, since the COVID year. It's not the same lockdown top 3 defense in years past. If you watched Barnes' press conference, he said that he's like, we tried to go out and get a front court that's going to be able to make a difference, make an impact. And Florida just showed us the standard. We're ways away. We are ways away from being where we need to be as a front court. He's not happy at all with the play there. When you look at Torvik, and you filter for just the 3 SEC games, Tennessee's 7th in the conference. They have the 91st offensive efficiency in the nation, 46th since January 1st. Small sample size, but that's ugly. That is ugly. So I said on the last show, I am a bit concerned here. Nate Ament was top 10 in the KenPom Player of the Year rankings in November. He's nowhere even close now. So I am a bit worried. I think they're just going to be kind of a middle of the pack SEC team here.
I'm glad Salty Tiger brought this up because I was thinking in my head, if you had to set a spread between Auburn and Tennessee on a neutral court right now, I think there would be some overreaction to favor Auburn. But you also look at Auburn's road game performances or performances away from home, right? There's a mixed bag there too. So it's like that's what we're saying about these teams in this group. Like, I feel like we can lean on the recency of some of it. And again, for both of these teams, it's like the extreme. Auburn was tremendous. Tennessee was not. And so we can lean on the recency of it. And that's why, like we said, it's so hard to figure out this group of teams. I don't know. Like we're going to find out, because I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a big separator week, because the way the schedule unfolds this week, there are a lot of big games where like teams like this, and like we said, like we're going to get to the others here in a second, but like teams like this have some of those like, all right, this is where you make up some ground with your resume and all that this week. So just keep that in mind. I think this is a crucial week for quite a few SEC teams in this jumbled 2-1, 1-2 group.
Yep.
So
now here's it's going to be more controversy here with 4 and 3, because it's kind of like the body of work versus recency debate here, as Arkansas comes in at number 4, which I'll be honest, I disagree with, but
I don't agree with this one.
I don't agree with this.
I think there should be some pushback on this one, folks, because I do not. I said there was no pushback to this point. If you're telling me you know what to expect from Alabama right now, and that Arkansas is just coming off of, again, a bad spot game at Auburn, playing a red-hot team that just figured it out, I absolutely trust Arkansas over Alabama right now. I'm sorry. I don't know how Alabama's – after what we've seen from them, I have no idea.
Alabama's 3. Let's loop them in for the conversation.
Ooh.
Alabama 3, Arkansas 4 here.
How much do you factor in that Alabama's got a lot of key guys that are in and out right now? Because I feel like some of Alabama's issues started when health popped up. And I don't know if that's an argument to move Alabama lower or to keep them where they wound up. Because I don't know where they're going with right cell. It seems like they've got 4 or 5 guys dinged up every game now. And they're also deep, which helps them absorb that. But
I push back a little bit, but I mean, again, we are talking about a team at 4 who just came off a 22-point road loss. All right. And we're talking about a team at 3 who I don't even know their own coach has said, like, hey, like, are these guys going to decide they want to, be great, or like, I don't know. And so I just Alabama, the injuries have to factor in. And so you can, on one hand, say, are we overreacting to Alabama's week last week? They lost by 6 without Philon in the second half and without Aiden Sherrill at Vanderbilt, who, I mean, it shouldn't be a big spoiler where Vanderbilt's going to be on this list. And then they turn around and lose at home to a Texas team that some people are higher on than others. But, like, going into the game, there was no reason, as we said, to be high on Texas. So I don't know. What do you do with it, right? So it's like, that's why, for me, like, I just think overcorrecting a little bit on Arkansas, because it is one game. In what was, to be honest with you, if Auburn comes out the way they did against a lot of pretty much any other SEC team, they're probably winning by double digits. Maybe it's not 22, but I mean, Auburn, it was just the perfect storm for Arkansas. Going in, coming off, as we said, Max, I think you have to factor in the fact that Arkansas had just played one of those games on the road against Ole Miss, where Ole Miss was fighting for its season, it felt like. Eventually they got it against Missouri. Big win for Ole Miss, but I don't know. I just think it's kind of, again, we're arguing between teams that I think still have defensive flaws, to say the least, for both of these teams. There's the common thread between Arkansas and Alabama. They both have defensive issues, but we'll see.
I gather that I ranked Alabama highest of any of us here. And here's kind of where I come down, because Alabama-Arkansas was a discussion in my mind. But which coach do you trust to have a team playing more consistently? I think sometimes we go off recency and potential. And look, like I've said this a million times, I'll probably say it again. If we get to March and Arkansas is the last team standing in the NCAA tournament from the SEC, I will not be surprised one bit for the half dozen reasons we all could name. And I do have a question on Alabama I want to ask you guys that'll kind of maybe push back about this against this a little bit. But I just trust – I just trust Nate Oates to get more out of a team consistently than to do Calipari. Let's examine the record here with Cal, which I know has never been done. But last year, Arkansas made a late push to get in the tournament. They lose 14 games. Last year at Kentucky, they lose 10. The year before, they lose 12. The year before was 26-8. Was that the St. Peter's team?
What does that have to do with this week's power?
Well, hang on.
Let me ask you that too. Yeah.
Because I just told you. I said when I got down to it, I trust Alabama's coach to fix things and get more consistency out of a team. I think it's close. I think you could make an argument either way, but that is where I voted. And
okay,
why.
let me ask you this. What's worse? Losing by 22 on the road against Auburn or losing by 4 at home against Texas?
What were the spreads on those games?
Well, but I think its opponent.
Well, I mean, if you want to take opinion out of it, look at what the spreads were, and that'll tell you who missed the mark more. And I'm guessing it was Arkansas.
Okay.
Well, no, Alabama was an 11-point favorites. They missed it by 15. What was the spread at Auburn? Wasn't it like a 4 or 5 possession spread?
1 or 2.
So let me say this.
So it's close.
And if you're comparing like body of work here, all right? And by the way, we're spending a lot of time on this, folks. Like, it's not that serious to me. And I don't think it is to anyone else. Like, it's a ranking. But like I'm not surprised though, Max. Like, these were going to be the teams in this range. This was going to be the teams we were going to debate the most because, in all honesty, like these were the teams that kind of let you down this past week. So, okay, how do you separate them? Well, again, if we're looking at it here, I mean, both have 3 quad 1 wins. They're 3 and 4 in their quad 1 games. So, like, okay, about the same. And I think it's like Arkansas has more wins against what you would call our, lower ranked teams. They have 7 quad 4 wins. Alabama only has 2 of those. So it's like, you can separate with some of that. But I don't. Just coming out of Saturday, okay? If we were saying that these teams were virtually even coming out of Saturday. Last week, I think Arkansas was ranked 2 in the power rankings. Alabama was ranked 3. I don't think there was anything coming out of Saturday that made me believe that order should be swapped based on the fact that Arkansas lost by 22 on the road and Alabama lost by 4 at home to a team that were favored by double digits against. So I think that's the thing, is if we want to revisit the entire full picture, then that's fine. But for me, if these teams were pretty close going into Saturday, which I thought they were, there wasn't enough to say that, oh, yeah, I should believe in Alabama when they just gave up 92 at home to Texas. And their coach is basically calling them out saying, do any of these guys want to basically do what it takes here to be able to get this thing going in the right direction? So,
but did you hear Cal talking about his team at half and how they got pounded in the paint? I mean, it's not like either team came out.
Like,
well, yeah, but I've never heard anybody make a 22-point loss to an Auburn team that was on the ropes a little bit sound so appealing.
Chris, you made Texas sound appealing going into in the game against Alabama, and their second best win of the season was Southern. So, like, you can find a way to make anything sound appealing. But it's one game. Like, Arkansas has played 16 games this year. It was one game. It's the worst performance of the season for Arkansas. Understood. But they also had just come off of beating Tennessee at home by 11. They won at Ole Miss by 7. Missouri couldn't do that, who had just beaten Florida and Kentucky. And so, like,
well, a week ago, we're sitting here talking about Alabama and Vandy maybe being the game of the year in the SEC. Alabama loses 2 games that were winnable in the final minute with the right breaks, and now we're just totally off Alabama. And, by the way, Pylon missed 16 minutes of game 1. They played without Right Cell last game. They played without Aiden Sherrill a game ago.
That has to matter. Does it not? Are we not factoring in the fact that they're playing without, like... Of course.
Well, yes, but do we not factor in the fact that they can plug those guys in again, and they have had those guys in the recent past?
But we're not projecting, are we? Are we projecting to March?
I don't know what we're doing because Arkansas lost by 22, and you think I'm crazy for putting an Alabama team that lost 2 games in the last minute ahead of them. So
Arkansas
you tell me.
lost by 22 on the road at Auburn, who Max ranked 4th this week.
I did.
Texas, meanwhile, has been ranked consistently 13 to 15 in our power rankings, and Alabama just lost at home to that team. So, I'm just saying.
I will
Judge
say,
Judy, am I crazy
I did have it swapped personally. I had Arkansas.
Oh.
I had, but
Okay.
But that is, you do have I mean, if you want to just go to the analytics to decide a tiebreaker, I mean, it's far and away Alabama.
Yes, that
over
too.
the past 3 games, which is just an SEC play, Alabama's 24th nationally, where Arkansas is 50th. Arkansas has the 154th defensive efficiency since January 1st. Their defense has been absolutely horrible. And so if you just want to separate it through 3 games, which is a small sample size, but if you just want to separate the two through 3 games of analytics, it's Alabama. But it's tough. It's tough to decide. It's just, what do you want to separate these 2 teams?
Yeah, look, to be clear, I'm not telling you it's clear in my mind. I'm just telling you I had reasons. I had to decide between those 2 teams and make a pick for a reason, and those were mine.
I trust Arkansas more than I trust Alabama, who a week ago I said I think at full strength Alabama is the best team in the SEC. But let's just say I've revisited my thoughts on Alabama after these past couple games. So, agree to disagree.
They don't play for a month, unfortunately.
I do think the Arkansas defense has been horrible, and we haven't been hard enough on it. I do think.
Guess who else's defense has been horrible?
That is also true.
Here we go.
I'm just saying, hey, this
You're
is
not
why
wrong.
I want to make this
You're
very
not wrong.
clear, okay? Go back a week ago. I am talking up Alabama like they're going to the Final Four. All right? But again, we all have our personal takeaways from games. To me, I thought last week was very glaring for Alabama for, I think, a few obvious reasons. So, meanwhile, I'm not as concerned that Arkansas lost by 22 at a team that, as mentioned, lost by 4 in overtime and 2 in a controversial finish. So, that's all.
On the other side, though, you could say if Alabama was fully healthy, that they would win those games. And Arkansas is fully healthy, but they lost. But then at the same time, Carter Knox didn't play for pretty much the whole game, so we could just go in circles here and extend these power rankings out to 4 hours and continue this debate.
Max, I'm gonna say this. Do you ever have friends like you went to high school with?
I don't have friends. I just sit in my room.
Well,
and watch
if you did, do you run into him 5-6 years later? I don't even recognize you anymore. This guy, to my left, as you see him on the screen, it's at some point in the last year, he's decided defense matters. Because I can't believe I'm having an argument
I'm
over
championing
Alabama.
2 bad defensive teams. How have I decided the defense
Let's
matters?
move on.
I mean, this guy for years, the only criteria is can you score the basketball, and now we've moved the goalpost a little bit. I just think it's great.
Conclusion: it is an absolute.
Is that these aren't the top 2 teams? That's the conclusion. These are not the top 2 teams in the SEC. They're the 3rd or 4th best teams in the SEC. All right, because the top 2 are
way longer than it should have.
So,
good discussion though. I don't think there's much separating any of those teams. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think you can argue all of them. But one team that has been flying high has been the Gators. The Gators, Blake, we have said time and time again. I said, hey, when we got asked before SEC play, who's your winner? I said Gators. I love the schedule. They did drop the first one on the road at Mizzou, but then they bounced back 2 straight home games this past week. 15-point win against a good Georgia team, and then I can't do math on the fly that quickly. Big time win against Tennessee, 91-67, and heck of a week for the Gators there.
yeah. So your updated FanDuel odds for SEC regular season winner. I shouldn't tell you the number 3 and 4 teams. Vanderbilt's minus 145. Florida is plus 360. So remember, we said if you're going to get the Gators, you better get in on now, and that was when they were plus 600, 700, whatever. But the Gators, let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if they win in Oklahoma on, what is that, Wednesday, Tuesday, and they go win at Vanderbilt on Saturday. Like, we're getting closer probably to like Florida all of a sudden like minus money at FanDuel if that happens, because I think a lot of it's based on what Max talked about entering the season was Florida's SEC schedule shapes up very nicely for them. And if they go win these 2 road games this week, turn around and play LSU and Auburn at home. We don't know if LSU have Thomas. Play Auburn at home after that. You just look at the way their schedule is. It feels pretty balanced in terms of like how the home and away splits and all that. So I think that this is the week that may define everything, because if this Florida team can take what they've done these past 2 games and turn that into a 2-0 record this week, even if they lose at Vanderbilt, you're still there. But if they were to, everybody better flip the expectations a little bit and say, like Boogie Flam playing well, Florida may be the team to beat, because right now they have a great argument for it. And we've got to see it more consistently. But like, if this is the tipping point for Boogie Flan and he starts doing this, look out.
All right. The 3-point shooting for them, is this the glass half full or glass half empty? Here's what I mean by that. They're 351st in the country in 3-point shooting. They're almost to the point where they can't shoot it worse. They were 9 of 30 against Tennessee, which was good for them. They might only have to shoot 32, 33% from 3 here on out to win the league. I mean, that's on the table for them. The question is, can they?
Well, here's the thing, Chris. They don't have to make shots. You know why? Because they're just going to get the rebound. So
right. That's also true.
They could be the worst 3-point shooting team in the country the rest of the way. And if their rebounding numbers continue the way they are, it ain't going to matter, because they're just going to grab, rebound, and score. So
I will say, though,
they are 12th in average height. Go ahead, Max. I'm sorry.
Well, there are going to be some games where the opposition comes out with extreme intensity, aggression, and just all over the glass. And then maybe Florida also doesn't make shots, and that rebounding advantage isn't there like it normally is, and that creates some tight late game scenarios. But they're on pace to be the best offensive rebounding team in the history of Ken Pom. They're number 2 in defensive rebounding in the nation. This is the best rebounding team I think I've ever seen.
They're 12th in average height at Ken Pom, and I'm just trying to figure out how there's 11 teams bigger than Florida.
So, if new haircut Boogie Flan is putting up, he doesn't need to get 23. If he's just putting up 10 to 15, maybe knocking down an outside shot or 2 a game, keeping those turnovers low, adding in a few steals, that's all they need. Even they shot 33s against Tennessee. Don't need to be taking 30. And take a few less than that, I think. Get to the rim a little bit more, draw some more contact, get to the free throw line, get to that Boogie Flan mid-range. They just settle in a little bit here, get the confidence going with Lee and Flan, and the front court's going to do what the front court does. Ruben Chinilu is on a first-team All-SEC tear right now, regardless of if it's all defensive team or what, with the way that he's defending and rebounding. Ridiculous percentages. He's in the top 10 in the country in defensive rebounding, top 25 in offensive. He's a monster right now. So I think if you had to ask us, hey, who's your favorite, to take a run in the tournament, I think I would trust the Gators the most right now, just given I like the matchup pretty much against anyone, unless they face like Arizona, or a huge team that's going to cancel out that rebounding advantage.
And then there was one.
And then there was one. Who could have ever doubted? Who could have ever doubted the Commodores being number one in our power rankings for over a month straight now? Have the Vanderbilt Commodores, as they are still without one of their top defenders in Frankie Collins, one of their senior leaders. Does not matter. Vanderbilt gets a home win against Alabama, 96-90 on Wednesday, and follows that up with a tough one, just a tired game, tired legs out there on Saturday, 84-73 win against LSU at home. Vanderbilt 16-0, top 5 in every single analytics site.
Now, word up, Ninja. We love you. We love the Ninja here. But I'm going to push back on this a little bit. I know you're saying Vandy's biggest asset is the cursed gym, Memorial Gymnasium. But Vanderbilt has won 7 games away from home this year of their 16 wins. And they may lose at Texas this week. It's a tough spot. But I think they've proven that home or away, like they have figured out the formula. And, again, it's just like coming off the win against Alabama. We can play the what-if game all we want, but they won the game. They scored 96 against Alabama. They beat them 96-90. It's a win. And then we said kind of a essential letdown type spot against LSU. They win the game by double digits. So that's the thing is like it's funny with our power rankings. Like when you get to this point, it's like Vandy fans are probably like, hey, we spent an hour waiting for this. We want you to talk about our team for 15 minutes. But what do we say? I mean, they're still undefeated. It was another good week for the Commodores. And once they get Frankie Collins back, I mean, they're probably going to get even better. And so, but this is like, I think I said this morning, Max, to somebody, this is the defining part of their schedule right here. The next 5 games are going to maybe decide Vanderbilt's SEC season. At Texas, who just got the big win against Alabama. Home against Florida on Saturday, which is probably my most anticipated matchup maybe of the season because of the contrast between these two teams and what they're good at. And then next week, they go to Arkansas and Mississippi State before hosting Kentucky, wherever Kentucky's at on January 27th. Those 5 games right there, you think about all the different combinations of how that could play out, especially if, let's say, you lose at Texas on Wednesday, you got a little more pressure on you playing Florida at home on Saturday. What happens if that turns into 0-2? Then you got to go on the road for 2 games next week at Arkansas and Mississippi State, 2 really tough places to play. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, there's a lot of ways this can go. But luckily, here's what I'll say. Even if Vanderbilt were to hit a skid here, guess what, everybody? When you're 16-0, you've done a little bit of work up front to where you can afford some of these little spots in the middle of the season. So they're not going to go unbeaten, but this is where, if they start to lose, we're going to see overreaction, not just within the chat, online. You'll see the overreaction at FanDuel. That's the time to look up and say, thank you for finally doing this, because this is where the value comes in with Vanderbilt, because they've done so much good work to this point. If they hit a rough patch, there's going to be some real overcorrection and overreaction, and that may be exactly what the Commodores need. So,
2 things. First of all, if we're picking player of the year right now in the league, it's Tyler Tanner, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Number 2, I think this week tells us a lot, because I think their Achilles heel might be big guys and who can get them in foul trouble. Because if there's one bone to pick with them, they could use one more post who can give them consistent minutes. And boy, at Texas and Florida and Nashville are going to be 2 big tests. Like if Vanderbilt comes through this 2-0 and then gets Collins healthy, then look out. If it looks differently, then we got a different discussion. But it's a big week for them.
A lot of people, you could say this about Max, but I think Florida is the worst matchup for Vanderbilt on paper of any SEC team.
Might be.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, because like you look on paper and maybe they don't have the traditional, the new style of playing double bigs and have all this height and size, but guys, they're 26 in the country in defensive rebounding on the season. And when you filter that for just SEC game, for when it gets more physical, they're 4th in the SEC in defensive rebounding. They're not bad rebounding team at all. They're really not. They just foul a lot.
Yeah.
It's Matas Vokititis might shoot 400 free throws, but it hasn't seemed to impact them very badly. But I mean, hey, they haven't played Lucina Traore and Vokititis and the rotation that Florida's gonna put on them. So maybe that defensive rebounding rank drops a little bit. But I mean, UCF is a good rebounding team. St. Mary's is a good rebounding team. SMU is a good rebounding team. They've played a lot of good rebounding teams, and they've done great. So I kind of push back on maybe on paper they could use another one, but on the court, it's been pretty dang good.
Some of their defensive stuff is pretty amazing. They are 359th in non-steal turnovers for the defense. They're 16th in steals. That means I guess teams aren't, when they're turning it over against them, Vanderbilt is forcing it. The free throw stuff, man, teams are shooting 76% against them, that ranks them 338th in a bad way. Can't control that. And they're also putting teams at the foul line at a really high rate, 321st nationally. And they're still 11th in adjusted defense.
That's just the Byington defense. If you look at his coaching career and you look at his defensive free throw rates over his whole career, it's a lot of red. It's a lot of red. It's just how he coached the defense. Nothing easy inside. He's going to put you on the line. Almost all of Byington's defenses, even that really good one at JMU when they won a game in the tournament, that free throw rate, that was 250, sub 250 in the nation in defensive free throw rate. So that's just kind of how Byington coaches his defense. He fouls a ton, puts you on the line.
All right, there you go. Power rankings in the books for this week. Chris, we're going to let you hop over to football. I know you guys had something scheduled a few minutes ago. We're going to grab a couple of super chats, and then we're going to go into our predictions for members after that. So we'll drop the link in that shortly, Chris, if you want to go.
Thanks, guys.
Get
Enjoyed
going on that stuff. Thanks. All right, so we're going to grab a couple of super chats here. And Zach said earlier, $5, that Auburn still scares me, but the Arkansas win was impressive. So, I think that's understandable, Max.
Hey, any of those teams with the great offense, poor defense, probably going to say, yep, they still scare me, but I feel good about, so that's the profile of a lot of the league right now.
Yeah. All right, and then we got $5 here from SBW. Boogie and Clayton got their hair cut from the same barber. Look out. We didn't know that stat. Uh-oh.
Oh, that makes a difference. That makes a difference.
Look out. We did not know that. So, oh boy. All right. There you have it.
Nice.
On that good
stuff. That's the insider stuff we need from you guys. That's the good stuff right there.
Yes.
The barber
absolutely.
stats.
That's it. All right. There you go, guys. We appreciate you as always. Now, we are about to hop into our members' predictions. Remember, we do our predictions live now. We didn't do that last season. We've never done predictions live except for tournament games. But we are going to start doing that now for every game slate in the SEC. So I'm going to drop the link right here. If you're an MVP or legend, you have to sign up, hit that join button, be an MVP or legend. You get to join in our predictions live. If you're not, you'll still get the video a little bit later. But you can join in live, give your picks, all that. So drop the link in there. You can come hop in just a minute with us. It's only for MVPs and legends here at Southeastern 16. Predictions for tomorrow night's games we'll have up this afternoon on the channel. Football stuff on the way too. They're going to be doing transfer portal live here in about 45 minutes. A lot to keep up with there. So check all that out. Hit the like button on your way out. And yes, let us know what you think about some of these teams we talked about this week. Very heavily debated group in the middle there. But
hey, Blake, the league may not be as elite as last year, but you can't say this isn't going to turn out to be a really fun race here in the top half. I mean,
yeah,
we could go 1 week and our team at 8 Texas A&M, or even our team at 9, Kentucky, or even our team at 10, Missouri, could move up 6 spots in 1 week if they just go out and really impress. It's wide open here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is we've seen all these teams get, like Ole Miss, again, and beating Missouri, who felt like the hottest team. Texas, who felt like not the hottest team, goes out and, wins at Alabama. And all of a sudden we're changing thoughts on Alabama. And, it just we just keep going. So this is going to be a very chaotic season in SEC basketball, but highly entertaining.
Highly entertaining,
for sure. All right. Max remembers the famous words I told him before we started the stream. We'll go about 45 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes later, Chris and I have had a 30-minute debate on Arkansas and Alabama, and here we are. So, all right, we're heading over to the predictions. Jump on in if you're an MVP or legend. We're going to go make our picks for the 3 games tomorrow night. And, back tomorrow with more predictions as well. So, for Wednesday night's slate, 5-game slate on Wednesday. Excellent group of games there. So, all right, we appreciate you guys. And we'll talk to you soon here at Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.